In June of 2025, I was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder called Mucopolysaccharidosis Type I, or MPS I attenuated. I just wanted to make a video 1 year later and explain all the symptoms that I had growing up, explain how I came to a diagnosis, and the maintenance that I have going on right now. Ever since I can basically remember, I've always had hand contractures. And, my hands don't straighten well. And I have difficulty making fists. That's as much. I have finger stiffness. My hands are deformed. Let me show you. Like, and I've been like that since I was young. Just looking at photos of myself when I was younger, I can see how my hands were. Ever since I was young, I have stiff joints. I've had joint pain. I've had an umbilical hernia. I've had a heart murmur since I was a baby, and they just worsened as time went on. One thing about my mom that I really, really love and credit her for is that she would always have me practice how to do different things, because she knew that I couldn't do them the normal way. So as I grew up, I didn't know that these things were odd or different until people would point them out. I remember working and I was like going in my register getting things like change, and someone was like, "Why do you put your hands like that when you get money out of the register?" I'm like, "Baby girl, what are you talking about? I'm just grabbing up the 36 cents. What's wrong with the way I'm doing it?" People would ask me how come I walk a certain way, or if they could see my hernia through my shirt when I was a kid, they would poke it and they'll be like, "Well, what's wrong with your belly button?" These are just things that I just went through life thinking was normal. I always wondered what it was. I could never get any answers. I did x-rays, I did blood tests, I did tests for arthritis, tests for rheumatoid arthritis. Nothing was coming back. In 2010, I got pregnant with my daughter. That pregnancy was extremely difficult because, unbeknownst to me, uh, I had two valves that were not okay. One was leaking and one was tight. It was the aortic valve and the mitral valve. In 2011, when I had her, I ended up having to have an emergency C-section. I was doing normal activity. Well, I'm not gonna tell y'all what I was doing, but I was doing something, and I could never catch my breath. And so we went to the hospital, and come to find out I had double pneumonia. And I had the double pneumonia because my valve was leaking. We thought it was weird, but there was like no explanation really. The thought was that I had rheumatic fever when I was a child, and it damaged the valve. About a year after I had my daughter, I had the umbilical hernia had grown because I was pregnant, and it was so painful. So I had my hernia repaired. Okay, so come 2015 or the end of 2014, I think, I was super symptomatic. I was really out of breath when I was walking very short distances, not even like a full block. I just felt like I could never take a deep breath. Bam, I was super symptomatic out of nowhere. And I started getting my tests done, and they were like, "Yep, this valve is leaking and this valve is very tight." And so at the end of 2014, I had my first aortic and mitral valve replacement surgeries. Everything went well. I was, still fairly young, like 20, what am I, 24 at that time, about to turn 25. So up until this point, I'm just thinking my hands are weird. I can't really lift my arms up above my head, weird. I had this hernia, that's one thing. I had this valve situation from rheumatic fever, that's one thing. I'm not thinking they connect. I'm thinking, okay, these are just things that happen to me. And then in 2022, I had my second aortic and mitral valve replacements. I would say I went to Vegas in 2021 and I just could not walk around. I was going to the casinos and I was like having to stop so much, and I was like, oh crap, this is the same thing. Something happened. And they're trying to figure out like why the valves were tight and leaking again. They thought maybe it was the surgeon's fault. They were saying it wasn't the right size. The size that I had was too small. And we were like, what the heck? So I go for a routine eye exam, and the doctor sees that I have pressure behind my eyes. She is very worried about this. So much so that she calls the ophthalmologist and she's like, hey, I need you to look at this girl's eyes immediately. What's the next appointment you have? All right, cancel that person and she needs to come in instead. Go to the ophthalmologist and he's looking. He's like, yeah, looks like there's some pressure. We're going to do an MRI or a CAT scan, one or the other. So it's not an eye issue. Ophthalmologist can't do anything. I go to the neurologist and he's like, yeah, you have pressure back there because your spine is compressed. And you need to have a decompression surgery, and we're going to do so much decompression, you need a fusion to make that thing sturdy again. So we're going to decompress them, but maybe we're going to have to fuse it so that it's strong. Because if something happens and you fall, you can become paralyzed. Okay, but the only thing is, because we're going so far up, you're not going to be able to turn your head. We're putting screws, and your head's just going to be straight like this. So that is why, ladies, ooh, I don't know if you can hear that, but that was crazy. But I can't, the movement and the mobility in my neck is trash. So now I'm thinking, I'm just unlucky. I am unlucky in life. I have had these hand contractures, pains, numbness, and weakness now. Now my hands are numb. These 3 fingers, which by the way is carpal tunnel. The nerve here is compressed. These 3. For, I don't know, 10 years at this point, it's been numb since after I had my baby. Feet, toes, tingly, numb. Legs, numb. They're getting weak. When I stand in the grocery store, I feel like I'm going to fall over because my legs are getting weak. Something is going on. I don't know what. I'm just destined to have a crap quality of life. So I get the surgery and I'm on ChatGPT and I'm like, let me put those MRIs and CAT scans. Let me tell Chat all of my health history. Let me see what the hell Chat thinks is going on. Chat's like, hey, you might want to see a geneticist because maybe you have MPS II. Now, sidebar, MPS II, only males can be affected by this. But I didn't know that at the time, and I'm like, hey, I should see the geneticist. I said, what made you think I need to see the geneticist? There's a note on one of the MRIs or the CAT scans where the radiologist said, hey, she might have MPS II. Maybe she should see a geneticist. Not the primary, not the neurologist, not the PA. No, nobody saw that note. I made an appointment for a geneticist. And they're looking, they're like, could be, seems like could be MPS. Let's do a blood test. Let's do a urine test. I do the test May 27th or something like that, 2025. Come back June, and they're like, yep, you got MPS I, babe. You got Mucopolysaccharidosis Type syndrome. It's attenuated. It's not as severe. Feels severe, but okay. Now I'm diagnosed. All of those things freaking connected. What the heck is mucopolysaccharidosis? What is MPS? MPS, Mucopolysaccharidosis Type I, or Shea syndrome, is a lysosomal storage disorder where my body doesn't make an enzyme that the cell uses to get rid of sugars. Okay, so like let's say you have your cell and it gets nutrients. It's like, okay, great, I'm gonna use that for this, use this for that. Okay, now I need to throw this trash away. I need to throw the whatever, this stuff I don't need. My body doesn't get rid of it. It doesn't get rid of the trash. It just stores. And so let's say this is my valve. Instead of the cell getting rid of the sugars, it just piles up and it makes the valve tight. That is true for every tubular thing in my body, okay? My joints, all the organs. I can't even, that's another video. But everything was connected and I did not know. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Great. Now I'm gonna be cured. Wrong. There's no cure. Currently, I do infusions called enzyme replacement therapy every week. It's like about 5 hours session, and I am receiving the enzyme that my body's not making, so that I don't store new gags. That's what the sugars are called, but it doesn't reverse anything. And so I just had to do so many different testing and see so many doctors to get baselines for everything. I saw the cardiologist, I saw the pulmonologist, I saw ophthalmologist, I saw an orthopedic doctor. When I saw the orthopedic doctor, I ended up getting carpal tunnel surgery to see if I could get any feeling back here. It's almost been a year and there has been no change, so I don't think I'm gonna do it in the other hand. I have had a colonoscopy, I've seen a GI doctor, I've had nerve studies, I've had a port placed, it's right here, so that I don't have to get pricked every week for my infusions. Most recently, I had an MRI of my lumbar spine, the lower back, because as I said, I'm having trouble with like feeling and weakness and numbness and bowel movement. And so I need to get that checked out. And lo and behold, I have moderate to severe stenosis in the lumbar. So I need to do the same thing. The problem is, or the holdup is, your girl is chunky. So I can't get that quite yet. The quality of life is not qualitying. At first, I was very happy to have a diagnosis. And it's not that I'm not, it's just I used to be overwhelmed. Now I just feel like I'm just like blah. Like I'm over it. It's so difficult having this rare genetic disorder because I find myself having to explain it to my doctors and caregivers all the time. And I feel like I don't completely know how to explain it. I have to advocate so much with doctors and caregivers and even family members if they hug me too tight or, slap me in the back of the neck. I have to do a lot more speaking up. I have to do a lot of listening to my body. I have to do a lot of fighting with resting and not feeling like I'm just a lazy person, but knowing that I need to rest in order to be okay. Turning down engagements. I have to overcome feeling like a burden. I mean, it's like once I got a name for it, it really just made it real. And not that it's a bad thing, because I was just pushing through, but you can only push through for so much. It's been 36 years or 35 years that I was just pushing through. And that was getting very painful and very tiring. I can't tell you how much I just ignore so much pain or ignore so much stuff, and it just feels good sometimes now to like recognize, okay, my hands are aching. I'm not washing my hair today. Well, I don't know about that example because I only got a couple of scoops, but you get what I'm saying. Just to acknowledge and give myself permission to just your body is not 100. It never will be, and you have permission to rest. You have permission to take an easier route. You don't have to push through everything. And that's probably the best thing, but it is really hard, and I do feel lonely sometimes, but I am very thankful and grateful for my support system, my family and friends and caregivers. And I hope that this next year I can just learn more and get a better grasp of my health care and get into a better routine of caring for myself. Please, if you have any questions, ask ChatGPT, okay? All right. It's great talking to you. I'm getting ready to go out clearly because I would never be dressed up for a video. I'm getting ready to go do something. So I'm just gonna get out of here. Okay. Hello?